Gambia, Angola, China Holding, Gash, producers of the finest tomato paste in the Gambia. Jaja tomato paste, available in 5 kilos, 1 kilo and in sachets. For wholesale and retail, visit our factory at Banjulonding. We are also producers of Jaja mineral water, cool, clear and fresh. Gash, Gambia, Angola, China Holding, with headquarters at Fatu Golden Plaza, Mile 7, Bertel Harding Highway. Gash Group also provides the best security company, Gash Security, for your offices, warehouses, homes and personal property. Gash Group for all your construction projects, offering you quality water reticulation for your gardens, pump irrigation, tidal irrigation projects and all types of buildings. You can contact Gash on 396-7894, 700-8993, 373-0259. Visit us at Gash Global Group on Bertel Harding Highway, Fatu Golden Plaza. Our website www.gashglobal.com. Gambia, Angola, China Holding, Gash.
Sophie Milk ñu ngi fété juróom benn ati cafka bu dul dañ ñoo leen indil Jalika full cream milk powder neex saf sàpp te bari cafka pour di leen jërëjëfati si ni ngeen defee Sophie Milk seen favorite milk brand léegi mun ngeen a jëfandikoo empty Jalika milk sachets wala carton pour gagner ay xéewal yu riche. Pour gagner motorbike dajaleel fukk ak juróomi empty carton yi Jalika milk pour gagner yeneen xéewal yu mel ni PlayStation 4, TV, fridge freezer, gas cooker, bicycle wala mobile phone. dajaleel fukk ak juróomi empty Jalika milk sachets def leen si biir enveloppe binda si sa tur ak sa téléphone number. Mun ngeen ko yóbbu si bépp Jalika milk agent bu leen gën a jege. Pour xam bi si raful yi dem leen Jalika milk Facebook page. Jalika milk mooy meew bu ees bu leen so fi indil gën a neex saf sàpp te riche.
It's a warm reception to our studios here in Sarakunda. This is Star TV News with me, Mayunaju Fadera. First, the headlines tonight. President Barrow commiserates with windstorm victims. Tendered in Wednesday's windstorm, lawmakers joined chorus for extension of franchise to diaspora Gambians. General Bojang believes burning of his car politically motivated. Inside Training Center Lungs Alumni Association. Jokadu Tambana counts cause of Wednesday's ferocious win. On the international scene, fears of fourth COVID wave as infections soar in many Asian countries. Catholic priest dead in Indian prison highlights anti-terrorism law. Jacob Zuma turns himself into South African police. Well, those were the headlines, and now the news in detail. His Excellency, the President of the Republic of the Gambia, President Adama Barrow, has commiserated with the victims of last night's destructive windstorm. President Adama Barrow has also called for an emergency stakeholder meeting on the storm that left in its wake loss of life and destruction to property. More in this report by Jacqueline Cooley.
A ferocious wind pummeled parts of the country on Wednesday night, causing disruption to water and electricity supply, transport and other services. The extent of the damage is still being assessed. The Gambian president has extended his deepest condolences and sympathy to the families that lost loved ones. President Barrow also empathized with victims and those affected across the country. The president on Thursday summoned an emergency meeting to conduct a rapid assessment of the damage to advise the government accordingly, announced the presidency on Thursday. The Gambian leader appealed for humanitarian assistance for the affected families as his government figures out the needed support. Meanwhile, the windstorm has caused a nationwide disruption to power transmission and distribution network. NAWEC stated in a statement on Thursday that trees have fallen on transmission lines in some parts of the country, causing extended blackouts. NAWEC said engineers are assessing the situation and that the Utilities Corporation will work around the clock to quickly restore power in the less affected areas as it takes measures to address the major damage. Jacqueline Coley for Star TV News.
At least 9 people have been reported dead in the North Bank region following Wednesday's windstorm. One person has also died in Busumbala in the West Coast region. The windstorm has internally displaced over 1,000 people across the country, revealed the National Disaster Management Agency on Thursday. Our Sani reports.
Speaking in a press briefing this afternoon, the Director of National Disaster Management Agency, Senator Harbour, said,
following yesterday's windstorm, which was really serious because the windstorm was at a speed of estimated to be at 85 kilometers per hour. I think this is, in 5 years, this is the first time that Gambia is experiencing this kind of windstorm. And it has caused considerable damage to life and livelihood. As of now, we lost, there is 10 fatality. Any soul that's lost as a result of disaster is a big loss to the nation. And when that happened this morning, the head of state, being the President of the Republic of the Gambia, called for an emergency meeting. We are all aware that in any disaster, the government bears the primary duty bearer. So the welfare of the citizens of this country, the government is not taking it lightly. This was why the President called for an emergency meeting this morning so that we can brief him, so that the government can take its rightful position. The partners are here. They can come and complement and supplement government's effort. But at the end of the day, government is the primary duty bearer.
He gave a preliminary report of the disaster.
As we are speaking, 3,140 people have already been affected. There is 10 fatalities and 1,531 internally displaced. This is very, 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 very serious. As the assessment is ongoing, because the assessment is not an event, it's a process. Before government can determine in the kind of response that the government would provide, they must have a credible and dependable data, because that's the nerve center of any response when it comes to emergency support. You rely on data, and the data has to be credible, reliable, and dependable. It is on this background that the government is actually waiting for us as an emergency institution and the partner to provide the government with the right data so that they can come up with a response that will need and will reflect the needs of the population.
The permanent secretary at the Ministry of Local Government, Muntaha Sala, said extreme weather events such as the Wednesday's windstorm was an indication of the fast-changing climate. This, he said, shows the importance of mainstreaming climate change adaptation in the national disaster management strategies. He called on stakeholders, national and international partners to work closely to close the adaptation funding gap and resilience.
We have to mobilize efforts and resources to assist the most vulnerable. These partners, all stakeholders, include government, international and local partners, and all Gambians, all patriotic Gambians. I mean, we should all come on board and help each other. I would want to say that I am personally going to pledge $10,000 towards the victims. I appeal to everybody to come on board and help.
The Secretary General of the Gambia Red Cross Society, Mr. Alassane Senghor, spoke about the various disaster management partnerships between the Red Cross and the government of the Gambia.
Now, I want to take us back to last week. I think many people sitting around the table here know that, yes, the events of last night was more disastrous, but I think the event started last Friday around 1800 hours when the first windstorm, heavy windstorm, went across from URR all the way to LRR and destroyed several houses, although lives were not lost at the time, but there were people who were wounded, taken to hospital. What we did from the outset, because we have, together with the NDMA before the rainy season, worked out a strategy to enable us to respond adequately.
Meanwhile, government is still assessing the extent of the Wednesday's destruction. Reporting for Star TV News, I am Awasani.
The issue of whether Gambians in the diaspora should enjoy their right to vote in the country's elections have remained a hotly debated subject in the public domain. Now lawmakers have also joined the chorus for the extension of franchise to Gambians in the diaspora. Well, Maria Madam has more.
Some lawmakers insist Gambians in the diaspora should be registered and be able to vote in the December poll and other elections, arguing that denying them a voting right is unconstitutional. The hope for the extension of franchise to Gambians in the diaspora is increasingly becoming remote, barely 5 months away from the presidential election. Lawmakers argue on Tuesday during the adjournment debate that the franchise provision in the Gambia's constitution is enough to allow Gambians in the diaspora to vote and be voted for. The member for Woolly West, Sidia Jatta, said Gambians in the diaspora have since independence been denied their rights to participate in elections. Honorable Jatta made the radical suggestion that Gambians should unite and boycott elections if franchise is not extended to those in the diaspora. Usman Silla of Banjul North argued that the constitutional provision on the right to vote and be voted for is sufficient to compel the IEC to initiate the process of registering Gambians in the diaspora to enable them vote in the country of residence. Honorable Silla urged his colleagues to address the issue in the next ordinary session of the Assembly, saying that the next session could be convenient to deal with issues such as providing resources to the IEC to register Gambians in the diaspora. To him, there is no excuse as far as he is concerned. The member for Serekunda West, Madi Sise, said it is unfortunate that Gambians living outside the country are unable to vote in the country's elections. He, however, questioned the commitment and seriousness of the government in enabling Gambians in the diaspora vote, saying depriving them is denying them their constitutional right. Madi Sise urged the Barrow administration to employ all efforts in giving diaspora Gambians the opportunity to vote in the country's elections. Maria Madem, reporting for Star TV News.
Former Army General Lamin Bojang has said the burning of his car in the early hours of Thursday could be politically motivated. The Secretary General and leader of the Alliance for National Reorientation and Development said his BMW X5 was burnt beyond repair and that he believed it was a foul play. More details in this report by Dado Cham.
The one-time leader of the Gambia Action Party said the matter was immediately reported to the Brusubi police station and the scene visited. Ex-General Lamin Bojang said some strange footprints were discovered at the scene and that he believed he was targeted for his political activities.
When we brought the forensic expert from the police station, Brusubi police station, and after their assessment of the scene, and when they saw the damages that is on the car, it is also their impression that this could have also been perpetrated by somebody. Okay, we have also seen footprints, unusual footprints and sudden location in the house that has not been there before this incident happened. So our suspicion is also that this has been condoned or maybe done by somebody. That is what is our suspicion. Because what happened is that this car is a roadworthy car. It is on the road. It is in perfect condition. Nothing is wrong with the car. So it has beaten our imagination that a car that is been parked at its usual place just got into flames like that. It may be possible because it is technology, but then that chances are very, very slim. I also brought in the gentleman who normally services the vehicle to tell us his impression about the whole thing, and he also gave the same impression that it could only be perpetrated by some, evil people.
Bojang pointed out that vandalism and causing pain to others will not take the Gambia anywhere as the country edges towards the general election in December.
The reason why we are into politics is to bring sanity and to bring decorum and to bring order. We have observed that our political landscape has a lot of issues that is not going to move this country forward. And there is a need for us to come together as Gambians, to understand that irony. We have to make sure that we remove it together too. And that is why Alliance for National Reorientation and Development, our call is very clear, We are calling Gambians to understand that this country can only move forward if we come together.
The police have opened an investigation into the matter, he added. Ex-Gambian diplomat erstwhile General Lamin Bojang received IEC's seal of approval barely 2 months ago after the registration of his Alliance for Reorientation and Development as a bona fide political party. Reporting for Star TV News, I am Dado Cham.
The ex-students of Insight Training Center on Thursday launched an alumni association under the theme Bridging the Gap Between TVET and Employment. The event took place at the school's ground in Sunju Alaji. Zaglin Koli was there.
The association was founded on 10th March 2021 as the Ministry of Higher Education launches the National TVET Alumni Network in July with a view to bringing together TVET alumni associations. The Vice President of the Insight Training Center Alumni Association, Sarah Kamara, said the main purpose of the association is to create awareness on skills development. The idea, he went on, is to be able to bridge the gap between TVET and employment.
Our main purpose is to make sure that we create awareness on skills, because we all know that a lot of people right now, there are more emphasis on the academic, that is the professional education, rather than the skills one. Because if we want to bridge the gap between employment and TVET, we have to make sure that we create more awareness, go outside, talk to people, attract people, so that they can, register their children, to skill training centers. It's not only finishing senior secondary schools. We have so many people who have not finished even primary school level. So we are telling them the journey does not stop there. The journey can be achieved.
He added that empowerment is another area that the association is looking into. This, according to him, will be pursued through the creation of scholarship packages for less privileged people who are passionate about acquiring skills. To Mr. Kamara, this has a potential of reducing the unemployment rate in the country.
Well, our expectation is to reduce unemployment, to make sure that we have a lot of skills people in this country. That's what is our main expectation, both the national one together with the schools one.
The Director of Tertiary Education, Anthony G. Mendy, explained the importance of the alumni associations in schools and the country at large.
The role of the alumni in the life of their former alma mater is very important. As ex-students, you have a special connection to your institution, and you are its most loyal supporters. Alumni renders some of the following, to name a few: expertise in your various fields of study. Those who have done construction can come back to support or render teaching at your former school. Offer career guidance or support to current students, because they need to be counseled. Those who can come back and counsel the current students.
Meanwhile, since the establishment of Insight Training Center in 1999, this is the first of its kind. The ex-students came together with the overriding aim of giving back to their alma mater and the country. Jacqueline Coley reporting for Star TV News.
As the country reels from last night's heavy winds, villages of Tambana have also been counting the cause of their disaster. Omar Job was in touch with some of them and he prepared this report.
The roof of the madrasa of Jokadu Tamana was blown off by the Wednesday windstorm. The village chicken farm was also destroyed, resulting to the deaths of 500 chickens. Osman Gassama is the public relations officer of Tamana Development Association.
The poultry, about the poultry. Yeah, the poultry is about 500 hens and chickens that have lost their lives. And right now, the remaining that have been left there is at the home of my brother. And when the rain comes with the storm or the wind, the house has completely collapsed down, the roofs and the buildings. And unfortunately, we lost almost 500 chickens. And the remaining ones have gone home in the house where my brother sleeps. They don't have place to sleep. They don't have place to sleep kept. So we are looking for a mission how he can build again the poultry at the garden there. Yeah, but today also, the last also, the village, in this village there also, we lost many houses. There are almost 5 households which lost their houses. Almost all the kundas, because we have the second kunda, we have 2 people lost their house in second kunda, Pati Kunda, and also in Kisama Kunda. In Maskunda also, people lost their house there, and also yes, these four kundas, Kisama Kunda, Pati Kunda, Sekana Kunda, and then Kisama Kunda.
The village bakery was also destroyed by the wind that battered several parts of the country on Wednesday night. Piero Gassama again.
So the Dara also, the new one we are constructing have been fall down. One side has been fall down. The roof have gone, and also the bakery house also have collapsed down, and we are trying to manage also that. Yeah, I would like them to make a hand with us so that this bakery and the Arabic school, and then the 5 households also who lost their houses, so that they can have a help from the disaster management or any kind or any people, so that they can have the help.
Several families in the village and the surrounding areas have had their houses destroyed as the windstorm buffeted the area.
There was a very heavy downpour of water, and that has come along with a heavy wind, and it does not left no place in this country. It has went far across the length of this country, and my village was not an exception. So I learned that the Arabic school, though our people in the diaspora are funded, they mobilize some money to construct one building for us that will contain 2 classrooms. I'm just told that one of the classrooms just fell off. The wind has just blown off the roof too, and the roof, there is no roof on top of the building as I'm speaking to you. And one side of the building too collapses. And not along with that alone, alongside with the bakery of the village too. The village bakery, the entire building of the bakery also collapses, and alongside the roof also went off. So as I'm speaking to you, one of the youth are already at the bakery doing their level best to fix back the roof. But alongside the issue of the Arabic school, it is a cause of concern to the entire village members, because this fund was mobilized by the native of the village that are residing outside in the diaspora, that take it personal to themselves to come to the aid of the village. Because considering the population of the village, we are having a very small, sizable classroom that is there for over 3-4 years now. But they said they will come to the aid of the village to construct another building that will contain 2 classrooms and an office. But that building has just ended, taking off the roof of that entire building, and it has also collapsed some side of the building too. So as I'm speaking to you, it is very, very devastating. Alongside, the village too is seeking some assistance or some kind of philanthropies from anybody from the side of the government or from individuals who can come to the aid of the village members to rescue them from this sad incident. It is definitely sad.
Meanwhile, several families have also been reportedly displaced in other parts of the North Bank region as heavy wind destroyed houses there. President Barrow has meanwhile called for relief for the affected families as his government figures out the support needed. For Star TV, I am Omar Joe.
Well, those were the local stories. We'll be back with international news. After the short break, please stay with us. We'll be right back.
Gambia, Angola, China Holding, Gosh, producers of the finest tomato paste in the Gambia. Jaja tomato paste, available in 5 kilos, 1 kilo and in sachets. For wholesale and retail, visit our factory at Banjulumbing. We are also producers of Jaja mineral water, cool, clear and fresh. Gosh, Gambia, Angola, China Holding, with headquarters at Fatu Golden Plaza, Mile 7, Bertel Harding Highway. Gosh Group also provides the best security company, Gosh Security, for your offices, warehouses, homes and personal property. Gosh Group for all your construction projects, offering you quality water reticulation for your gardens, pump irrigation, tidal irrigation projects and all types of buildings. You can contact Gosh on 396-7894, 700-8993, 373-0259. Visit us at Gosh Global Group on Battle Harden Highway, Fatu Golden Plaza. Our website www.global.com. Gambia, Angola, China Holding, Gosh.
So Sophie Milk ñu ngi féete juróom benn ati cafka bu dut dañ ñoo leen indil Jalika full cream milk powder neex saf sàpp te bari cafka pour di leen jërëjëfati si ni ngeen defee Sophie Milk seen favorite milk brand léegi mun ngeen a jëfandikoo empty Jalika milk sachets wala carton pour gagner ay xéewal yu riche pour gagner motorbike dajaleel fukk ak juróomi empty carton yi Jalika milk pour gagner yeneen xéewal yu mel ni PlayStation 4 TV fridge freezer gas cooker bicycle wala mobile phone dajaleel fukk ak juróomi empty Jalika milk sachets def leen si biir enveloppe binda si sa tur ak sa téléphone number mun ngeen koo yóbbu si bépp Jalika milk agent bu leen gën a jege pour xam bi si raful yi dem leen Jalika milk Facebook page Jalika milk mooy meew bu ees bu leen so fi indil gën a neex saf sàpp te riche.
Welcome back. After that break, still the news. We now look at the news beyond our borders. Several countries in Asia have reported record numbers of COVID-19 infections in recent days. The region appears to be in a fourth wave of the pandemic. It is believed that the highly transmissible Delta variant is responsible and is straining medical resources across the region to their limits. Al Jazeera's Tony Sheng reports from Bangkok, Thailand.
Deserted streets in the city of Raili after Chinese authorities imposed a lockdown. The city on the border with Myanmar has seen a sudden rise in cases in recent days. Mass testing is now underway to try and halt the spread, which is thought to originate across the border. Inside Myanmar itself, the COVID situation is deteriorating quickly. But instability following the military coup has meant testing and treatment have almost ground to a halt. Medics have been targeted by the military because of their role in the civil disobedience movement, and many have been forced into hiding.
The public call the doctors as heroes due to our actions in the COVID pandemic last year. But we have become criminals overnight by the military.
In Indonesia, greater transparency, but that has only revealed tens of thousands of daily infections. Oxygen supplies have run so low that many hospitals have had to suspend admissions. Some patients now relying on private suppliers to fill much-needed canisters for home care.
We need oxygen because one of our family members is experiencing breathing difficulties and we are running out of it. That's why I have to queue. We need it badly.
Even in South Korea, a country noted for its effective response to COVID-19, infections are reaching record levels.
The government will uphold the existing social distancing rules for another week and do our best to stop the spread by taking extra disinfection measures.
New supplies of vaccine arriving in the capital Seoul, sent from Israel.
Across Asia, there's a rush to secure and distribute vaccines as quickly as possible. But with supplies limited, it feels like a race against time as COVID-19's Delta variant swamps Asia in a fourth wave. Tony Cheng, Al Jazeera, Bangkok.
The death of a well-known Catholic priest in an Indian prison has highlighted the use of a controversial anti-terrorism law. Stan Swami, 84, was jailed last year for allegedly supporting May's rebels. He was imprisoned without charge or trial and denied bail despite his ill health. Al Jazeera's Elizabeth Prunam reports from New Delhi, India.
Mourners gathered at Stan Swami's funeral in the city of Mumbai on Tuesday after his death from a heart attack. They held up signs reading, "Stan Swami didn't die, he was killed." The Catholic priest was imprisoned in October last year and denied bail despite his ailing health due to advanced Parkinson's disease. He was the oldest of a group of 16 human rights activists accused of instigating violence during a march by disadvantaged Hindus in Maharashtra state in 2018. None of the 16 have so far been charged or faced trial.
So there is no excuse for this.
Many who knew Stan Swami says he didn't commit any crime.
Stan was actually very committed, especially in the last few years, to the rights of the under trials, and he was trying to help people who had been treated in this manner in Jharkhand. And it's an irony that in the end he himself became an under trial and suffered the same kind of persecution.
Swami's imprisonment was condemned by both the UN and EU's human rights rapporteurs.
We are deeply saddened and disturbed by the death of 84-year-old Father Stan Swami, While in Mumbai's Taloja Central Jail, his health deteriorated and he reportedly contracted COVID-19. His repeated applications for bail were rejected.
So there is a political...
One of India's most senior lawyers says the government is misusing anti-terror legislation called the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act, or UAPA.
This UAPA law and the case has been used to actually target prominent human rights defenders and activists and to put them away because they are raising questions whether and organizing people and protests, etc. And this is the way the state is responding and retaliating.
The government's released a statement defending the case it's taking against the activists and its decision to imprison Swamy. India's External Affairs spokesperson says the government is following due process in the case and that authorities act against violations of law and not against the legitimate exercise of rights. But human rights activists say the fact that only 2.2% of everyone held under the anti-terrorism legislation over the past 5 years has been convicted means the law must change. Elizabeth Puranam, Al Jazeera, New Delhi.
South Africa's former president Jacob Zuma is in police custody after turning himself in late on Wednesday. He was sentenced last week to 15 months in jail for failing to show up at an inquiry into corruption during his time in office. Al Jazeera's Faminda Miller reports from the correctional facility in Escort, where he is being detained.
It was shortly before a midnight deadline that the former president Jacob Zuma's foundation announced that he had decided to comply with the incarceration order given by the Constitutional Court a week ago. Until now, the former president had resisted arrest. He was supposed to have given himself in last Sunday. When that didn't happen, police were instructed to arrest Jacob Zuma. But there were concerns around safety and a potentially volatile situation around in Nkandla, KwaZulu-Natal, where the former president has a homestead and where he does enjoy significant support. Now, to avoid any type of confrontation between police and supporters, the former president then took a convoy with his protection service to this correctional facility in Escort, also in KwaZulu-Natal. He's now handed himself in, he's being processed, and it's likely this is where he will spend at least the first few days of his sentence, because once that processing is completed, authorities determine the most suitable correctional facility or accommodation for the former president, given his age and his health. He'd previously said that he shouldn't be imprisoned because he's 79 years old, he's unwell, and South Africa is currently going through a third wave of the COVID-19 pandemic.
You will know that as a former president, he has the Presidential Protection Unit. They brought him to us, but now we have to take over to ensure that he's incarcerated in a safe custody, and also we'll have to respond to his special needs if any have been identified.
Jacob Zuma and his legal team have submitted an application to be heard by the Constitutional Court next week. And that's where he's hoping that either the judgment made that has found him guilty of contempt of court will be rescinded, or at least his sentence reduced from 15 months. But before that, he does have a pending application at the High Court in Pietermaritzburg, where he had asked for the arrest not to happen. But that judgment is only due on Friday, and that's why the former president has been incarcerated. Legal experts say the likelihood of that particular case being successful is very slim. And so the next time we could possibly hear from the former president is next week, when his lawyers represent him at the Constitutional Court, possibly in mitigation of the sentence, even though it's after the fact. Either way, for many South Africans, it may be almost unbelievable that Jacob Zuma, the former president who hasn't been held accountable until now, who faces a number of corruption charges, finds himself behind bars.
Well, before we end the news, a quick recap of our main headlines. President Barrow commiserates with windstorm victims. 10 dead in Wednesday's windstorm, lawmakers joined chorus for extension of franchise to diaspora Gambians. General Bojang believes burning of his car politically motivated. Inside Training Center lunch Alumni Association. Jokadu Tambana counts cause of Wednesday's ferocious win. On the international scene, fears of fourth COVID wave as infections soar in many Asian countries. Catholic priest dead in Indian prison highlights anti-terrorism law. Jacob Zuma turns himself into South African police. That's all for this edition of the news. Do enjoy the rest of our wonderful programs. Join us tomorrow for more news. Thanks for watching. Do have a wonderful night. Bye for now.